Around 1923, two young boys named Rafe and Danny were playing together. They pretended to be fighting Germany during World War I while watching Rafe's father fly a plane overhead. Suddenly, Danny's father intervened. He pulled Danny away from Rafe and angrily called Rafe a stupid kid who couldn't even read. Furious, Rafe lashed out and hit Danny's father from behind, trying to defend his friend. He shouted and insulted him. Fast forward to January 1940, Rafe and Danny are now adults, serving as first lieutenants in the U.S. Army Air Corps under the command of Major Jimmy Doolittle. They quickly stand out among the other pilots for their courage and exceptional flying skills. One day, Major Doolittle discusses an important letter with Rafe. The letter confirms that Rafe has been accepted into the British Eagle Squadron, a unit of the Royal Air Force. The offer would allow Rafe to fight in the war voluntarily, even though the United States has not yet officially joined the conflict. Major Doolittle gives Rafe the freedom to choose, either to leave for London and fly with the British, or stay behind and continue serving with his unit. Rafe talked to Danny and lied about Major Doolittle, who assigned him to London, without telling him that it was his own choice to be a volunteer. On a train heading to New York, a nurse named Evelyn chats with another nurse about their work as military nurses. During the conversation, Evelyn begins to share her romantic love story with Rafe, which started 4 weeks earlier. She explains how she once passed Rafe during his medical examination, even though he suffered from dyslexia, a reading impairment. Evelyn describes Rafe as the most romantic man she has ever known, recalling the 4 weeks and 2 days they spent together. When the train arrives, Rafe and Evelyn enjoy New York City together. They go dancing at a nightclub alongside other pilots and nurses, fully embracing the excitement of the moment. Afterward, they head to the New York harbor, where they impulsively take a boat and sail among police boats, enjoying their time together without permission.
Rafe. I guess you're right.
Later, when they return to the hotel, Rafe suddenly tells Evelyn about his decision to join the Eagle Squadron and fight to help the British. His confession shocks Evelyn, but Rafe reassures her that he will come back to her. Because of that promise, he asks Evelyn not to see him off the next morning. However, Evelyn still came to the station to surprise Rafe. He saw her heading to the train station to say goodbye, but Evelyn never noticed him. In that moment, Rafe realized that Evelyn truly loved him. As the war rages on, Rafe witnesses the brutal reality of the British Air War. He sees damaged planes riddled with bullet holes being repaired, some of them still stained with the blood of pilots who flew them before and never returned. Those same planes are prepared to fly again into battle. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, the United States begins strengthening its defenses in preparation for an inevitable war. At the same time, Japan is secretly planning a massive, coordinated attack on Pearl Harbor, assigning pilots and officers for the operation. While Japan was secretly preparing its strategy, Danny, Evelyn, and the other military personnel were assigned to Pearl Harbor, completely unaware of the massive threat slowly approaching them. Amid the cold and chaos of war, Rafe and Evelyn remain connected. No matter the distance, they continue sending letters to each other, always sharing what they are going through while enduring a long-distance relationship. One day, a fierce air battle erupts. Rafe leads his squadron with skill and determination, shooting down enemy planes one by one.
I'm under fire! I'm taking fire!
But suddenly, an enemy aircraft appears behind him and opens fire relentlessly. Rafe's plane is badly hit. His aircraft crashes into the sea, and Rafe is killed in the explosion. With a shattered heart, Danny delivers the devastating news to Evelyn. The loss deeply affects everyone who is close to Rafe. The best pilot America had is gone, leaving behind grief and silence. 3 months pass after Rafe's death. Slowly, as they share the same pain and loss, Evelyn and Danny begin to develop feelings for each other. This wasn't intentional, nor was it merely a coincidence. Somehow, those feelings emerged, along with a courage Danny never knew he had. Danny, who had always been reserved and shy, slowly realized that he had fallen in love with the one woman he was never supposed to love, the girlfriend of his best friend.
You might need it,
Evelyn's friends begin to notice the signals Danny is giving. They can sense the feelings slowly growing between the two of them. Rather than judging her, they encourage Evelyn to move on with her life, without being forever haunted by Rafe's memory. To them, Evelyn deserves happiness, even if it means starting a new chapter after such a painful loss. It turns out it wasn't only Evelyn's friends who understood the situation. Danny and Rafe's friends also saw the sincerity of Danny's feelings. They chose to support Danny in moving forward with his love, felt a sense of relief. Danny offers to take Evelyn up into the sky to watch the sunset over Pearl Harbor above the clouds. As they fly together, the two of them quietly enjoy the moment. Danny reassures Evelyn, telling her that she doesn't need to worry. He says this is the beginning of a new chapter for both of them, gently convincing her that it's time to let go of the past and move forward. Their story continues as time goes by. Day after day, they spend their lives together, unaware that at the very same moment, Japan has begun its secret operation. Through espionage, Japan gathers intelligence on Pearl Harbor, sending crucial data back to its central command. Every piece of information becomes part of a carefully planned strategy that will soon be used to launch a devastating attack. But everything attacks sooner than expected. While Evelyn is working, she suddenly comes face to face with someone who completely shocks her. Rafe. Standing alive right in front of her, Rafe explains what truly happened. His plane was shot down over the sea, but he survived the crash. He was rescued by a French fishing boat and had been living in France ever since, far away from everyone he once knew. Not long after, Danny rushes to Evelyn, holding a telegram that confirms Rafe is still alive. When Rafe sees his best friend, now involved with the woman he loves, he realizes that while he was gone, the two most important people in his life had betrayed him, at least in his eyes. That night, Rafe goes to a club in Hawaii and receives a warm welcome from his fellow pilots. Soon after, Danny arrives. Seeing him, Rafe forces himself to stay calm and awkwardly thanks Danny for taking care of Evelyn while he was presumed dead. Danny tries to explain what really happened. The situation quickly escalates. Rafe loses control and strikes Danny, and a violent fight breaks out. When the police arrive, both men leave the bar and talk again. But this time, Rafe bitterly admits that no matter what they say, their relationship will never be the same as it once was, while Danny and Rafe are still struggling to resolve their personal conflict. Japanese soldiers, driven by a death-before-defeat mentality, prepare to fly toward Hawaii. They are about to carry out a plan that has been carefully crafted over the course of many months. Every detail has been calculated. The pilots depart fully aware that this is a one-way mission, an operation with little to no chance of returning alive. Meanwhile, on the other side, the American code-breaking team realizes the Japanese operation too late. Critical messages are eventually decoded, but the warning comes far too late to stop what is already unfolding. That delay proves fatal, leaving Pearl Harbor completely unprepared as the attack moves toward its devastating conclusion. On the peaceful morning of December 7, 1941, the calm skies over Hawaii suddenly turn into chaos. Pearl Harbor is struck by a surprise attack from Japan, an assault carried out with total commitment and no concern for survival. The Japanese forces arrive prepared to die, determined to destroy everything in their path. The U.S. Navy fleet is overwhelmed by relentless explosions and gunfire. Battleships are torn apart, bodies scattered across the harbor. The devastation does not stop at the docks. Hospitals and airfields are also targeted, plunging the entire area into uncontrollable panic. Amid the destruction, American soldiers summon every ounce of courage they have to fight back. Rafe and Danny struggle desperately to reach their aircraft under constant bombardment. With help from their fellow servicemen, they manage to take off and engage the enemy in the air. Their skill as pilots becomes undeniable as they shoot down several Japanese planes attempting to retreat from Pearl Harbor.
Son of a bitch!
At the same time, the only hospital in the area is overwhelmed with wounded soldiers and civilians. Medical staff are pushed beyond their limits as casualties continue to arrive in numbers too great to count. Evelyn is assigned to perform triage, forced to decide who can still be saved and who cannot. In the midst of the chaos, she is devastated when she discovers that her close friend Betty has been killed. The attack on Pearl Harbor becomes one of the darkest days in American history, claiming more than 3,000 lives. Soon after, the President of the United States addresses the nation, declaring the country's readiness to go to war against the Japanese Empire.
But back home, millions of America have been.
Following the attack, Rafe and Danny are ordered back to the United States under the command of Major Doolittle, tasked with preparing for a secret operation. While Rafe is packing his belongings, Evelyn comes to see him and reveals a painful truth: she is carrying Danny's child. She explains that although she will devote her life to Danny, a part of her heart will always belong to Rafe. With great difficulty, Rafe accepts this reality. Even though Evelyn was the reason he survived, rose from death, and found his way back, he chooses to let go, allowing the two people he loves most to move forward together. Later, Rafe and Danny are summoned to Major Doolittle's office. Their actions during the Pearl Harbor attack are praised, and both men are promoted to the rank of captain. However, the recognition comes with a dangerous offer, a classified mission with a very small chance of survival. It is a mission where medals are almost guaranteed, but most will be delivered to families rather than the men themselves. Fully aware of the risks, both Rafe and Danny accept the mission. Rafe begins burning the letters and memories he shared with Evelyn, symbolically closing that chapter of his life. For the next 3 months, Rafe, Danny, and the other pilots strong enough to accept the task undergo intense training for a classified mission. Major Doolittle proves its feasibility through action. He demonstrates that the aircraft can take off within an extremely short distance, lifting into the air just before crossing the marked red safety line. It is then that the true nature of the secret mission is revealed. Their target is no longer symbolic retaliation, but the very heart of Japan, Tokyo. Concern spreads among the pilots as they realize they will be attacking with only 16 aircraft, a stark contrast to the hundreds of planes Japan used in the assault on Pearl Harbor. Hours before the mission begins, Evelyn is escorted to a secure room by Major Jackson. This precaution is meant to protect her, while also allowing her to receive direct updates on the progress of the secret mission, giving her a way to learn what happens to Rafe and Danny. Out at sea, the situation escalates rapidly. The task force is detected by Japanese forces far earlier than anticipated. With no alternative left, Major Doolittle orders the pilots to launch immediately. even though their fuel reserves may not be sufficient for the full journey. This premature takeoff was never part of the original plan. In that moment, the true resolve of the American pilots becomes clear. They press forward with the attack, fully aware that every second in the air could cost them their lives. They took to the skies despite the extremely limited runway, pushing their aircraft beyond what was ever considered possible. Against all odds, they managed to lift off and continue their journey until they finally reached the skies above Japan. Once over enemy territory, the formation began its assault. One by one, the planes released their bombs, striking strategic targets across Japanese soil and turning factories, infrastructure, and military facilities into fields of fire and smoke. Japan responded with overwhelming force. Anti-aircraft guns roared from the ground, filling the sky with deadly explosions. Several aircraft were struck and fell from the formation, disappearing in flames before ever reaching their escape route. The mission had barely begun, yet the cost was already severe. As anticipated from the start, survival did not end with the bombing run. With fuel supplies rapidly depleting, the pilots were forced to fly low over the Chinese Sea, fully aware that every passing minute reduced their chances of survival. Eventually, land appeared on the horizon, offering a fragile sense of hope. With no certainty of safety, the pilots prepared for crash landings, knowing that touching ground did not guarantee survival. Rafe's plane was the first to go down. However, the area was not the Allied Chinese territory they had hoped for. It was still under Japanese control. Almost immediately after landing, Rafe and his crew were attacked by Japanese soldiers who had been alerted to their presence. Danny's aircraft had already landed, but tragedy struck moments later. Japanese soldiers who had survived the earlier attack opened fire, and Danny was hit before he could escape. Severely wounded and unable to fight back, he collapsed on the spot. His life ended there, far from home, after surviving the skies only to fall on the ground he never meant to reach. After being rescued by Chinese soldiers, Rafe finally made it back to his homeland. But his return was not marked by victory, only by overwhelming grief. He came home without the friend who had fought beside him since childhood. Fate then placed upon him a responsibility he never expected. Rafe was destined to raise Danny's child, the living legacy of the friend who had fallen in war. The child was named Danny,